Hello and welcome to Composer Profile, a series of videos where I talk about the backgrounds and careers of video games' most notable composers. This time we take a look at perhaps gaming's most famous composer, Koji Kondo. Born on the 13th of August 1961 in Nagoya, Japan, Kondo-san was taught the electric organ from the age of 5, and growing up he was part of a cover band that played the mainstream music of that time. During high school he developed an interest in playing arcade games such as Pong, and eventually being drawn towards games that incorporated more music. Years later he went on to study at Osaka University of Arts. It was around 1983 when Nintendo were hiring for sound programmers, and having recently graduated, he applied. Despite not having any training in classical music, he had a wide knowledge of electronic music. He applied and was the third person hired by Nintendo to make music and sounds for their games alongside Hirokazu Tanaka and Yukio Kaneoka. His first assignment: compose all the music for the new arcade game of theirs, Punch-Out! While he composed music for the arcade version, when it was ported to the NES and Famicom in 1987, the music was ported along with it, as well as additional music you hear during the fights that didn't appear in the arcade. Back in 1984, he moved his way into the entertainment analysis and development at Nintendo, and went on to compose for both parts of Golf, the one that we know from the NES and the Famicom, and the one that we don't know for the Nintendo's Versus Arcade system, but that's for another video. Also in the same year he composed music for Devil World, a maze-based game which was banned in the United States due to Nintendo of America's strict policies on religious icons being depicted in games. He even wrote the instruction manual on how to program music using the Family Basic, a programming peripheral for the Famicom. At this point Kondo became a recognisable name amongst those in the know, but in 1985 he became iconic. Super Mario Bros., arguably one of the most popular melodies in video game culture, or perhaps popular culture itself. Its whimsical nature captured the imaginations of millions around the world for children and adults. When thinking about how the music should sound, Kondo-san had to play the game first before realising that the score needed to reflect the urgency and the liveliness of Mario's character and the world around him. This could be drawn to the 2-2 time signature in the overworld theme, which creates a push momentum as you play through the level. Or, in contrast, the 3x4 time signature of the underwater theme that makes you feel more relaxed in a subterranean waltz, despite the danger of those bloopers. I'm not really an expert or that knowledgeable about music theory, but if you are interested in how some of his works are structured, then I highly recommend these videos to see the genius behind these timeless melodies. Kondo's focus at that point was to enhance the gameplay rather than just adding music to a video game. He would often repeat a melody countless times to make sure they wouldn't get boring or annoying for the player, and sometimes inspiration comes to him in unexpected places, as he said in an interview. Usually I'll be in a bathtub. It's like, oh, there it is. Or I'll be sleeping and the melody is in my head. Or even, I'll be walking down the hallway in my house. Suddenly the music pops into my head. It really doesn't happen at work. It's always somewhere outside of the office. Being a musician that has worked around keyboards, organs, pianos and synthesizers for the majority of his life, it comes as no surprise that Kondo enjoys listening to and finding influence from psychedelic and prog rock bands such as Deep Purple and Emerson, Lake and Palmer. He also enjoys listening to the 4 piano concertos by Russian pianist and composer Sergei Rachmaninoff. Characterization through musical theme is a very important element for video game music, since it's a melody that is associated with memory or a setting once listened to. While Super Mario Bros. Used rhythm as a characteristic to expand the world, in 1986, The Legend of Zelda would use this characterization to its full extent to tell a story of and the land it's set in with its notes. Leitmotif is a recurring theme throughout a musical or literary composition associated with a particular person, idea or situation, and no greater examples can be found in either Kondo-san's work within the NES era. But it wasn't just Mario and Zelda he had his priorities with. Before and after the releases of the flagship titles, he composed music for soccer, arm wrestling, the sound effects for kung fu, and volleyball. A couple of Famicom exclusives like the mysterious Murasame Castle, Shin Onigashima, and of course, Yume Kojo Doki Doki Panic, which, in case you didn't know, ended up becoming the Super Mario Bros. 2 The West got instead of the difficult sequel that the Japanese owners received. His favourite game he ever worked on still remains to be Super Mario Bros. 3 back in 1988. Perhaps because of how ambitious the game was as you traverse through multiple worlds that covers a range of elements and settings, enabling him to really experiment and be even more creative despite the memory restrictions of a NES cartridge. If I were to mention every game he has composed music for, this video would go on for much longer than it ought to. So, to keep it brief, here's the rest of his work up to the year of this video's publication. And in case you're wondering, he didn't write the music for Star Fox, although he did create the sound effects, curious enough. As lengthy as that list is, he has numerous credits for supervising music and sound in countless Nintendo titles as more sound staff has joined EAD. The last game he would write the score all by himself was 1998's The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Afterwards, he would collaborate with other composers and sound engineers. By the early 2000s, Kondo-san took the role of group manager at Nintendo's sound department, which he would be the sound support specialist for any of the Mario spin-off series such as Mario Kart, Mario Golf and Mario Party. And as sad as it is for me to say, but unfortunately Kondo-san won't be around forever as much as we would love him to. But through these collaborations over the recent years, new composers and engineers are capable in continuing his method and musical philosophy whilst putting their own spin on the process. Much like when Satoru Iwata passed away, the spirit of Nintendo will continue to move forward, but will always remember their past in that familiar nostalgic tint that most of us know and love today. So in the meantime and beyond, let's celebrate Koji Kondo's achievements as we continue to do so today, and be grateful for how his intricate jingles sparked our imaginations as children, teenagers, adults and elders. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you all next time.